This is episode number 8 of the Jason Croft Show and part 2 of our interview with Jillian Jordan.
This is not business as usual. Host Jason Croft is a video marketing strategist driven to grow your business. He grabs top CEOs, startup founders, even sales and marketing rock stars, throws them in a moving vehicle, and forces them to give you their most valuable tactics and business insights. So sit back, buckle up, and hang on for the Jason Croft Show.
If you haven't checked out part 1 yet of our interview with Jillian, do that right now. Otherwise, let's get back to the Dallas co-working space, The Grove, with its commitment to social impact, and talking to Jillian Jordan about the great seed bomb.
It's an educational thing. It's like I'm trying to teach the folks even going on my bike ride that, okay, don't call a city when the medians on the highway are overgrown, guys, unless it's causing like an obstruction into your view or something like that. That makes sense. But let's turn the entire highway system in the US or the trail system into like a pollinator garden. There's no reason not to. I mean, there's certain areas where you can, have like a mow area, but don't make it like all mow and then little no mows. That's essentially what's happening now, is like little areas where they're like, you can seed bomb here, and they'll like cordon it off. I'm like, that's not the point. So Fort Worth let us do like a free for all. Like we rode and we just threw them wherever. I was like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I had in mind. This was the vision. They take several years to grow, so we haven't had a whole lot popping up. We had some, but folks need to know like how to like stratify, I guess is the best way. I don't know. Like they come out and bloom at different times.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
So they should do that for their yard too. I don't know. It's a bunch of stuff to basically talk about, and it all ties together.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like you're trying to take the fun and the physicality of the tie-dye runs or anything like that, but with this educational component and stuff like that. Is it? Yeah,
it's a nerdy 5K.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah. It's just any reason not to do a run instead of bike or anything?
And the reason, now that's not to say we won't in the future. I have been thinking about it. I've had so many requests for that. One of the reasons is because we can't cover the distance that we would on a bike.
Sure.
So that spreads out the seeds more, and less habitat fragmentation. I mean, bees, what I learned from Jessica Beckham was that, when bees are doing the waggle dance, they're going into the hive and they're showing other bees like, okay, here's how you get to these flowers.
Oh,
well,
wow.
it got to a point where, I mean, some of the colony collapse issues, if you guys have seen these documentaries, like they talk about no bodies. So that's not mites, that's not pesticides even in some cases. I mean, in some cases it is because they're out in the, they're foraging. But sometimes it's that they leave and they never find the nourishment to get back. Like it's separated so much so, and we've overdeveloped so much, and we've seen these things as weeds, and Roundup is used in farmland and agriculture so much, these things aren't out there. So like they go so far, they get lost. I mean, a lot of folks don't know about that aspect, but there's a lot of different things that contribute to colony collapse disorder.
Yeah.
The way we choose our vendors, everything is hyper-local. Okay. So this is what we're moving towards, is all the vendors are hyper-local. Even when I sold my tickets, it was on Pre-Kindle because it's in the area. Then the shirts are from Pan Actor because that's Denton. Then the seed bomb mix is from the Native American seed, which I love them, and they're local, just north of Denton. So if I'm going to take this, and I've gotten requests from all over the world. I mean, I'm talking like UK has contacted me, several cities in Canada,
to come and do this there?
Yeah, several cities in Australia, New Zealand, and all over the United States. And when I write to them, I'm like, that's awesome that you want to help us. There's coordinators out there. I asked them first off, like, what organization would you want this to benefit? Because I want to check up to make sure this is a small, hyper-local organization that's doing this, boots on the ground work. And also, like, what vendors could we potentially use that you know of, so we can use vendors in that economy, that area. Right. So we want to, like, do the hyper-local, like, sourcing even.
Right.
And
I mean, that's part of basically the mission statement of what you've got.
Everything's hyper-local. Yeah. So we want to come in and have this really be the Great Seed Bomb Austin. We want this to be your city's Great Seed Bomb. Each one's going to look different. They're going to have the characters of each city.
Right. And you've got some of that. You've got Austin coming up?
Austin is in the works, and I'm working with somebody down there, and she works for like the Rainforest Conservancy, I think it's called.
Okay.
And so I'm working with the folks down there. We also have a professor from UT that we're talking to. So that one, we're aiming for like late spring. We'll try to do that. We'll try to pull that off. We have one in Irving in the fall.
Nice.
City of Irving wanted to do it on Campion Trail. And then I'm looking to Minnesota, North Carolina, Atlanta. I want to accomplish at least 5 this year and then increase them next year so I can build a team and start paying people.
Right, right.
Because really it's just me and like a couple volunteers right now.
Right, trying to organize all these.
Right, but evidently the story went national, and also because we were a pollinator grant, like what is it called? The pollination project. That's it. We're a pollinator project grantee, which it was on CBS Sunday morning, and this guy is a Dallas real estate agent or real estate guy, gives out $1,000 every day, and we were one of the grantees. So they published it, or they like wrote something up in HuffPost Impact. So we're in there, and then NPR here covered us, which is like my dream. I was like, really? And then not only was it like a little side story, which I totally thought it was gonna be, it was like prime time, like twice. It was like morning drive and afternoon. I'm like, what? So you're right there with like a Syrian Greg Abbott story. It was wild. So the posts on Facebook are now starting to go viral. Like, basically my tribe, like people that get it are picking this stuff up, putting it on their website with 14,000 followers. Those people are then sharing it, and that's how all these requests are pouring in.
That's fantastic.
So they're seeing, people are seeing it.
So how is that? How is that translating into momentum?
Well, for me, it's encouraging to see that there's still. I'm trying to figure out ways for these small. I'm picking like certain towns where I think the population density and such will work, and also the community in that area. And then these little ones that I'm getting a lot of requests for, I'm putting together basically a Great Seed Bomb kit where they can run their own fundraiser.
Because that's what I'm thinking too. Like even down, I mean, does it work to have grapevine seed bomb? The small little outposts.
Hyper-regional. Yeah, I mean, there's actually a way to do that. There's this historical documentation of what is actually native. If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, there is like literal
like you can go find it.
Yeah. They're still building a lot of them, which is why I'm such a big fan of Native Prairies Association of Texas, because they're definitely boots on the ground folks. So they're our next beneficiary. I'd like to use them. I'd like to give money to them. And we also use these beneficiaries as part of our community to help us do this, because they have stake in the game. They can get money from this. So they promote it on their network. That helps us draw the crowd and able to pay for tickets and these, the seeds and the compost. Compost is like dirt cheap. But the clay
that's all, folks.
and the seeds are actually really expensive, because I mean a little pound of seed can cost, native seed that's non-GMO, can cost $50 for just a little one.
Good grief.
And then we'll build like 10,000 seed bombs. So this last one we built 4,000, but this next one we have to build 15 because we learned about like distribution. So we're still learning like how many seed bombs you actually have to blanket over the ground for this stuff to take hold and work, right? It's going to take a lot more seed bombs, and we may actually have to start cordoning off certain areas and just bombing the heck out of things using target practice or something. So that's basically where we are right now.
Any thoughts of rogue seed bombing?
Oh, guerrilla gardening? Yeah. I mean, that's really the sway of it, I think. Guerrilla gardening's fun. I've done it. I mean, nobody can catch me. Anyway.
We're not recording or anything.
But not terrible guerrilla gardening, but like
drones. Have you thought drones?
We have.
That's great.
We have, yeah. Seedles. I work with 2 companies that I really love. One is seedbombs.com out of Pennsylvania. It's actually a soil ecologist. She's awesome. And she puts a lot of science and research into her seed balls, so love her. She donated 4,000 seed balls actually last time, which is not cheap for her to do. and also we use Seedles. Well, we've talked to Seedles a lot in the past. So they are the ones that like took a plane over farmland and talked to a private landowner, and they had these colored seed balls, because for kids, like, they love the colored ones, and they basically launched them from a plane all over this guy's property. Yeah, so it was like millions of seed balls.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so these things, I want to link up with all these folks, because I'm all about collaboration. So you can make it grow by just being, I am all about like working with folks.
Right.
I would love to merge and just make this huge and make it a big project.
'Cause that's how, I mean, you get size, you get scale.
Exactly, yeah.
That's how you get attention and
Yeah,
eyeballs.
right. And I don't want it to be like about my face, the founder or whatever. I want this to be about the crowd that cares about this and can do something about it. And I want the Great Seed Bomb to become its own thing and become
Yeah.
a life of its own. And the impact is the most important thing. So the next step is really paying attention to, is this working? Are the seed bombs taking hold? Which kind of seed mix works best?
And who's keeping track of that?
Right,
How are you
keeping track of that. But
how
on
are you
top
doing
of that, talking to the nonprofits we've donated to and saying, hey, what happened with the money, and what metrics can you provide to us, for the money that we provided?
That makes sense.
And then, so just getting better at impact.
Well, that's great. I think it's a fantastic big picture cause, which is awesome.
I hope so. Yeah.
I mean,
I definitely don't want to let it die.
Right.
It's something that is my heart, and I do want to see it flourish.
I mean, was this, after this first event in Fort Worth, was it, oh, we've got a long way to go, or was it, okay, this can happen?
It was like, oh my God, it's only me, and it's getting huge attention. I better get some people to help me.
Gotcha.
That's where I am right now. I'll be honest. I'm like looking for co-founders. I'm looking for somebody that understands this and, can help out like making this happen. Because when it's just me and just a couple volunteers, that's the hardest part.
Oh, yeah.
And I just adopted a baby, so I'm like, I got a lot of things.
And she's adorable.
So, so yeah, but I really want to see this become a thing of its own.
Fantastic. Well, this is awesome. Awesome story. Anybody have any questions for Miss Jillian?
So, any plans for like self-paced seed bombing? If I wanted to purchase a box and
Right.
get educated on which routes I could take on my own bike, on my own leisure, any plans for that sort of thing?
I didn't have a plan for any routes, like given routes. It could turn into that, but I have had a plan for creating kits, because I have gotten a lot of requests from smaller towns where I don't think like an entire seed bomb would be a good idea, Great Seed Bomb, just from population and such. But if if say a school wanted to create a community garden on their property and they wanted to do this as a fundraiser, I'd like to send them a kit and describe how to do it, and then do like a smaller scale version that's independent, kind of slower pace, where teachers can come in and stop at each like water stop and provide information. But that's a good idea.
Like that. Lucas?
One question: where in upstate New York are you from?
Syracuse?
Same here.
What?
Yeah.
We need to talk.
Yeah,
Yeah, isn't it beautiful up there?
Yeah.
Like, gosh, okay, yeah.
it is. Kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
What's kind of your future goal for the next 5, 10
That's
years?
that's 2 questions, Lucas.
Oh, well.
You said
it's
one
okay.
question.
Yeah. That's 2 questions,
No,
yeah. So 5, 10 years? I honestly,
Is this the end goal, or do you see yourself expanding, growing?
this is a project, and I do think it has a shelf life, because as he said, I think these 5K runs are a fad. I'm not sure how long they'll go. And I'm counting on that, actually, because I think what I'm going to do is 5 years for this. And I have thought about establishing it as a nonprofit and having it go more in depth in terms of impact, and just focus on the educational issues I was talking about, and maybe some advocacy work for bike infrastructure, and like making a lawn more native and things of that nature. I'm not sure. See, the way this even became what it is from just like following like stuff I was interested in. So I'm gonna stick with this for 5 years and see where it branches out, because I have a feeling the community, the tribe that's interested in this is gonna teach me where to go.
Yeah.
Like I know that doing it and seeing all of the connections will steer us in a more impactful way. And it won't be just me, it'll be like a team of folks. That's what I'm counting on. So I'm looking for my tribe. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think it's awesome, so thank you for sharing the story. I think one of the aspects that appeals to me the most is we often sort of view the environment as this other thing and not us.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times there's a disconnect. You hear big issues and you sort of think there's nothing I can do in my backyard or
Right.
in my own city or my own town to help move this along or to help better. So have you seen most of the people who are really passionate about it, are they tend to be interested in big picture, or like the issues with bees or the pollination, or are they, hey, we really want to make our local community and our backyard better?
Both. I've seen people that are like have a background, like a PhD in this kind of work. A lot of them are part of the organizations that I'm contacting, that I'm trying to give money to, but they're also the same people that'll come out and ride. And then I have a lot of like younger people that are like, this is just cool, I want to do it, and I've always been worried about this issue, and I'm really into organic food, I want to ride. Then, yeah, I think it's just the opportunity to touch upon something or help something. It's their time, it's their money and donations, it's the actual act. Like for instance, we have a seed bomb making party to help me build all these seed bombs. It's literally just me. So I'm like, how am I gonna build like 5,000 seed bombs? So I was like, let's have a party, let's give people food, make it happen. Steve Short at Henrietta Creek Orchard in Roanoke helped me do this. And we had it at the Brit, and kids came out. So that next thing you know, you got Girl Scout troops and Boy Scout troops, and they're all building these seed bombs. And now they're interested in riding. Now their parents are interested in riding. And that's what it's about. It's about getting like the masses to realize like together we can do something about this. But if it's just me, like forget it. If it's just like one like nerd when it comes to no. But yeah, I think everybody. I think it's a tangible thing, but it's accessible, which is, we've talked about this, Zach. Accessibility is key, and collaboration is key.
I think it's really great as far as what you're explaining. Like, I love by my niece, like the science kits, and they're so great. Like, I don't know, I think like she could do something like that.
Yeah. Oh, like a kid. Yeah. I mean, they like. Yeah, well, education for the kiddos. Like when kiddos like learn about something. Like I said, you learn to love it, and then you learn to protect it. It's really in the hands of like future generations. So we're starting the work, and we all love this stuff. So we're just pulling together to teach everyone about this and what they can do. But we're counting on these younger guys to come up and continue this work. So.
Yeah, so I just wanted to piggyback off of that because I'm an educator. I'm actually a high school teacher, and have you? And I came in late, so you may have already touched on this. But do you have like a kind of a pre-packaged, or do you have the vision of having kind of like a pre-packaged curriculum that you can go into like a school system and have like a lesson plan for science teachers or STEM teachers to kind of piggyback on?
We are planning on that. I am not the person for that, however. I'm just a marketer. So even though I'm interested in the environment and I have self-research, I'm going to be partnering with folks to do that.
Sure.
So I'm going to get the expertise in before I go with that. But yeah, that's essentially what we're trying to do to get. We have a couple of people interested in doing that already.
Like writing
So,
curriculum? You mean?
yeah.
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 Can you talk a little bit about your fundraising and your income streams?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll be completely transparent. I lost money on the event, but it was worth it to me. So it was my personal savings. I just believed in the project, and we got some sponsorships because it was a first-time event. It was kind of hard to get those. But we did get some sponsorships. We had other people that were really interested, so like Whole Foods, for example, but they couldn't contribute because I wasn't a nonprofit. So now I'm kind of thinking about becoming a nonprofit. So it's hard. It's really hard to do social entrepreneurship in Texas rather, because there's no like structure for a B Corp even. But I'm thinking about becoming a nonprofit. We also had support from Earth8 Texas. So for this Dallas ride, even they donated $5,000, but I haven't cashed that, of course, because our Dallas ride fell through. But so I get sponsorships. I have a tiny fair at the end, and I get some vendor money, but it's like $35 for a booth. We also, the ticket sales bring in revenue, and then at the actual event, we sell pre-packed. I guess our fanny packs are pre-packed with seed bombs. So we sell those. We sell our T-shirts. And surprisingly, people like bought those things on their own. I really didn't think they would, but it's included with a full ticket. So right now, I split all the money that comes in, half, and then I give half, and then the other half goes to like covering my expenses. It didn't cover all the expenses this last time, but I mean, it was to be expected. I'm thinking like with event 3, we'll probably start, being okay with revenue, and then I can hire people to help me. But yeah, that's really that.
That's an interesting crossroads you are, though, too, between stay the social for-profit or go nonprofit.
That's something I've been struggling with the last few months.
What are both sides of that?
Well, here's the thing. I started it as a social enterprise under Hub and Spoke Collaborative because I feel it's more nimble. I feel we could scale quicker. Right. It's not owned. There's no advisors. There can be negatives to that though, because I do want legit advisors.
Sure.
Yeah, I think in my mind I was like, we can scale quickly. The Color Run's making millions of dollars. How did they do that? Well, they're a for-profit.
Right.
So I was like, why not use a for-profit model for something like this? And I didn't want to become this gigantic, like WWF, like, you know what I mean? Like, I really rarely hear about the work on the ground that they're doing. It seems like a lot of it goes through administrative fees, to be quite frank. So I'm not the biggest fan of huge nonprofits. I really like the smaller guys that are really nimble. But like I said, I've had a lot of people say, we would love to support this, but you're not a nonprofit. We can't write it off. So a lot of them are like, we want to write it off in our taxes.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm thinking about it. I do get donations from like individual donors, like randomly from like different states and countries, and I know it'll like come in my inbox like $25. I'm like, what? And I'll personally write them a note like, I got this. I know who you are. This is rad.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's just little me right now. But I mean, I want to grow it. I definitely want to like get folks in to help me.
Because to me, I mean, it's such an. I mean, Kim speaks to that very, very much.
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking about doing crowdfunding to try to like ramp it up.
Because I don't think it shouldn't be a knee jerk. Just like, oh, we should be a nonprofit.
No, and it isn't
at all.
I'm still struggling. I'm holding out actually.
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence. I have had 2 to 3 people tell me to like I went to advice about, and they're like, yeah, just make it a nonprofit. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So I can think of like there's probably a number of vacant lots near where I live. That could just be like.
Yep, that's what guerrilla gardening is. But they're usually privately owned, and you can get in trouble for that.
And I also walk in, so I like the concept of
he's in here. He's in row 1.
Yeah.
So I mean, even just selling a packet for me to do it myself, again, revenue stream.
Oh yeah.
Make an online store.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I have been thinking about that. It's just like I almost want to work with my partners, like the seaballs.com folks, because she's like really an expert in that.
So have more of just a
then
link off to that.
Right. So it's almost like I want to work with her as a partner to provide seed balls in particular. Exactly. And then just focus on the actual event. Yeah. So I want to focus on the actual event and creating the kits featuring her seed balls, with curriculum from experts. Yeah, that's essentially what I want to focus on more so.
But even in that too, I mean, it can be an affiliate sales and still get something through.
Yeah, and I would love to do that with her. In fact, I'm selling seedballs.com seed balls at the Earth8 Texas booth that I have. So, I mean, I'm already starting to work with her because I am just such a fan, and she has put a lot of thought and effort into it. Has a great mix. She gets it. So.
Awesome.
Could you do a hybrid where you keep your for-profit and then because of people just want to donate, you have a
A
nonprofit?
foundation, yeah.
I know it's tricky.
Like maybe
It
just the
is.
event is
Yeah.
nonprofit or.
I mean, all of these things, I've thought about this, but I really have no clue what I'm doing. That, to be frank. I mean, I just started this and I don't know enough, and it's put me in analysis paralysis at this point.
And the B Corporation, how would that solve it or make it easier
You
to
know,
work?
good question. I'm just a big fan of B Corps, and I think people would understand more so that, you know, I have a .org, greatcbomb.org, and it's still a for-profit. And I mean, the first comment I got on one of my like NPR stories was, "This woman's making money," and I'm like, well, I mean, it's a business, but it's also like the primary focus is donation. So yeah, like for instance, I don't know, like my taxes have been very confusing, and I don't know. I need help, frankly. I need help.
But I think there's solutions on. I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly where my mind went with it too, because
Right.
there's definitely people who do know this and
Yes.
can put this together in just the right way. Because I'm positive, I can't even think who it was, but somebody very recently I heard about did something very similar to where
Really?
it's
Yeah,
almost
I would
two
love
divisions
for them
that.
to talk to me. I really count on you guys. Like the startup community has been amazing. I've been involved with this the last 3 years, and I've had nothing but positive experiences with this community, especially in Dallas. And it goes back to accessibility. Like I think, like if you go to San Francisco, you're not going to get this kind of accessibility with the startup community. So reaching out to you all has gotten me here. So there's no telling how many other companies have gotten to where they are because of this community.
Yep.
And we're all here to support each other. I love seeing other folks succeed in this community.
Yeah.
So
Big time.
yeah, it's almost like a thank you, I guess, to everyone, because I've learned so much. Like it's been really fascinating being in these events and seeing everything come together. So yeah, if anybody has any advice on that, I would love to know what next step to take. I'm looking for partnerships. I'm looking to see what formation this will lead to. Yeah. So these are the problems I'm encountering now.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's just a small hurdle. I think it will, we'll hop it and start creating some cool events.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on the Great Seed Bomb.
.org.
.org.
Yeah, greatcbomb.org.
Everything they need to know is right there.
Everything, yeah. And we're planning a Seed Bomb Noir in Austin, which is actually a night ride, and we'll have a lot of glowing things, and it's kind of like a moving music festival. We're thinking
Near the
about-
bats?
Yeah, I would love that. So we're looking into that, 'cause the bats are going to come in. The Bat Conservation International is already on my mind because they're down there. I'll be contacting them. But I want it to be a music festival of sorts, and rent a radio station, because you can do that in some cases, and have guides that have like stereos on their backs. See, this is the kind of stuff I think about on Sunday mornings. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. But yeah.
I like it. Love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Love
being
what
here.
you're doing too. Everyone has a story, so thanks for sharing it and digging into the stories behind these things happening in Dallas.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for coming out. I'm really impressed with Jillian's resolve to make this project happen. Make sure you connect with her and jump in and be a part of the Great Seed Bomb. If you will, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and make sure you get more of these interviews as they come out. For my podcast listeners and viewers, please jump over to iTunes, subscribe there, and leave us a review. In addition to creating great shows like this one, I help my clients develop their content marketing ecosystem in order to grow their business. If you're interested in learning how I can help you, visit thejasoncroft.com and let's schedule a time to talk. And hey, if you're interested in doing what I do and learning how to interview people like a pro, sign up for my 4-week email course. It's completely free, and we'll give you some great insights into interviewing people on video, whether you have your own show or you want to start a podcast or simply interview someone for your blog. Just go to thejasoncroft.com/interview and get signed up. Next up on the show is Julian Placino. We talk about the secrets that we've found to get hired and to hire the right people. That's in episode 9. Jump over now. I'll see you there.
Thanks for listening to The Jason Croft Show. Head over to thejasoncroft.com for all the show notes, links, and special offers mentioned in the show. Also, if you've not already rated our podcast in iTunes, we'd love your support. Please leave a review and the star rating that you think we've earned. And don't forget to subscribe. We've got more incredible guests coming your way. We'll see you next time for business, breakthroughs, and being better on The Jason Croft Show.